We're going to look ahead to the weekend in sport and our live game here on Clare FM tomorrow afternoon at Zimmerby Met Park Keysog when the Kingdom come to town. The All-Ireland champions Kerry taking on Clare in that Munster Senior Football Semi-Final. Our sports editor Derrick Lynch is with us. Derrick, good morning to you.
Morning.
Thanks very much.
I thought you were continuing on there.
I thought you were just evaluating whether it was good morning, and I was like, surely he can see out the window. It's lovely. Look, this is, we want to accentuate the positives. It's always going to be a tall task to overcome a Kerry side of any vintage, but particularly this current crop. And also not helped when you get bad injury news, which Paul Madden's side have gotten through Dermot Coughlin. How much of a blow is that going to be?
Fatal, I think.
Fatal.
Yeah, it was already a tough task, but Dermot's the fella that pulls the strings. He's the ball carrier.
He's pulled the hamstrings.
Yeah, well, unfortunately he did that. Yeah, so he's the guy that carries ball from defence to attack. When Clare are transitioning, it's through Dermot's hands it invariably went, and I just think it's a huge bang. No, like I know there's a squad there and it's next man up and all that kind of a thing, but you cannot be without anybody. When you're taking on a team like Kerry. No, look, there's been a lot of years coming from Tralee and Killarney direction.
What's new there?
Yeah, about their own injuries, but the reality is, as I was saying to you there, Dermot O'Connor's at midfield. They've got Paul Ganey, David Clifford, Paddy Clifford, Micheál Burns. They've Gavin White and Killian Spillane on the bench. So it's not a weakened Kerry team coming up by any stretch of the imagination. From a Clare point of view, it's a case of how are we going to cope defensively? Is it a case of you're setting up effectively two banks of a defence, one between the halfway line and the 65, the other between the 65 and 45, and you're hunting for turnovers? And I suppose if we're looking for a positive from a Clare perspective, the inside three of Arden Griffin, Owen Cleary and Mark McInerney were shooting the lights out all throughout the Division 3 campaign. Now I suppose we have to temper that by saying it was throughout the Division 3 campaign, right? So here's the All-Ireland champions and the beaten league finalists in Division 1 coming to Ennis tomorrow.
Albeit hammered in that final.
Yes, but hammered at home for it as well. Whatever about what Andy Comerford has said in Kilkenny in recent weeks, you can be damn sure that their own in Kerry have savaged them. So there will be a response. And while there is a couple of new faces like Killian Trent and these people in that team, they'll be eager to say to Jack O'Connor and the lads, hi, I'm here. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of that in it as well. So, and I just think it's a huge order from a Clare point of view. I think what Clare need to focus on is being there at the 3/4 mark. For too often, Kerry teams have blown Clare away by early goals. Some of them have been stupidly conceded by Clare. Some of them have been fabulous scores.
But regardless of the ways they came about, it happened too early doors where the wind was taken out of Clare's sails. And they were done then. Yeah,
should look at the Munster final in Killarney a couple of years ago. Yeah. Exact same script in that sense. So that's what Clare have to kind of face into now. It's a case of keeping let's just go Munster final, sure. Keeping the door shut for as long as they can. Feed as much ball to the top three that they can. Hope that if Kerry see that there's enough of a threat back there, do they sit someone in front of those three lads? If so, what do Clare do with their spares? So there's a lot to unfold.
The levels of energy, intensity and concentration that is required to even get to that point before you then push on from there, it is a big ask.
Yeah, and look, when you think about it in this context, right, we spent all last week talking about Clare's step up from Division 1B of the hurling to the Munster Championship, and this was being questioned of a team that had the muscle memory of winning an All-Ireland in 24. That wasn't a big gap as we saw to make up. Clare are looking from Division 3 to taking on the All-Ireland champions. Like, the gap is it's Grand Canyon stuff, like, really, if you're honest about it. So Clare have to adapt and go appropriately. I would expect one or two maybe positioning switches and maybe a personnel change or two to the team that's named. Darragh Bahan's named on the bench. Don't see him starting there, if I'm honest. I think you need his presence around the middle third. So Tristan O'Callaghan, big day for him in goals. We know from the Sigerson, great shot stopper. His kickouts are laser like, they're excellent. So he's certainly not going to weaken the team at all. It's just a massive day. And the one thing I would say, Alan, is that I know people have said, and they're right, 2 o'clock on a Saturday isn't an ideal time for a championship game, particularly when the weather is picking up and we've so many beautiful beaches in the county. But if people could just maybe box off 1:30 to 4 o'clock tomorrow for the Clare football cause and come in and look at the end of the day, if the result doesn't go your way, you'd have seen David Clifford in his pump, you'd have seen Owen Cleary in his pump, you'd have seen Mark McInerney in his pump. You know, there's great players on show on both sides. So you would just appeal to the Clare public, come out and back this team. If things don't go Clare's way, here's the reality: it's a Tailteann Cup run. Now, is that the end of the world? Listen, let's wait till tomorrow evening to start assessing that. But I think every Clare man, woman and child, to paraphrase Dalo, needs to come to Páirc Uí Chaoimh tomorrow. Be there for the lads. If things don't go right, be there to applaud them off as much as you'd applaud them on. They need that support. Okay,
is the task facing Clare's minor hurlers Grand Canyon sized? They face Waterford and Sixmilebridge this evening from 7, given the fact that they have lost their opening 2 games. Even with a win, they need other results to go their way, and I am sure the level of morale in the panel is not as high as you would expect, given how things have gone so far.
Yeah, but I suppose the beauty of youth, Alan, is that you can get over these things fairly quickly, and I think young lads are great at forgetting the good and the bad, so it's been a while now since their last outing, so you'd be hoping that they've kind of
moved on,
rewired a small bit on that. I see management have shaken up the team a little bit, so you'd never know what freshness that could bring. Obviously we saw during the week with that fantastic win for the 20 hurlers, there was a couple of changes there that ultimately shook things up a bit and got them that result, so that's going to be a big task. But again, we were probably spoiled the last couple of years, winning an All-Ireland title and getting back to an All-Ireland final was just dreamland stuff. It probably was unrealistic to consider you could keep that going. Maybe we still can, but I think again it's that word development. If 10 or 12 of this minor squad come through to under 20 in the next 2 years,
it's been a success.
And if 6 of those or 7 of those come through to senior level, well, that's a fantastic job done by Ger O'Connell and his team. Silverware is brilliant, but at these grades it's all about that progression, and you can see our senior team now, like Sean Wren the other day, fantastic. Ronan Kilroy, brilliant when he came on. Jamie Moylan, exceptional during the week. Matthew O'Halloran, excellent midweek. These are all recent minors, so that's a great, I keep saying it, it's a greater barometer of success, I think, rather than silverware.
Okay, that game thrown in at Gurney Park at Sixmilebridge at 7 this evening. You'll be looking ahead to that and the game on Saturday and more besides on Sideline View this evening.
Certainly will, yeah. And of course it's a big weekend for ladies golf in Clare as well, because tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock there'll be a shotgun start on the Hinch Golf Club for the first ever Women's South of Ireland. We know that the South of Ireland, a famed championship won by our own Jonathan Keane, of course, last year. But tomorrow then Sarah Cunningham and Aideen Walsh are flying the Clare flag, both Ennis connections obviously, and Aideen a member in the Hinch as well, so fantastic event up there. And obviously with the Walker Cup coming up and the Irish Open and the Ryder Cup and all that, it's going to be a very, very busy year and a half or so for golf. But tomorrow, a really historic event up in the Hinch, so loads to look forward to there.
Okay, brilliant stuff, Derrick. Thank you very much.